Midnight Club Los Angeles is a thrilling finale to one of the most engaging racing franchises ever made, featuring one of the most rewarding progression systems I've experienced in the genre. My name is OneHip, and thanks for clicking on this video. I'm continuing through Rockstar's HD era, and in this one, I'll be exploring how Midnight Club LA blends this rewarding progression with the franchise's immersive open world racing, becoming one of Rockstar's most ambitious races. For Midnight Club's first HD sequel, Rockstar San Diego chose Los Angeles as the sole location, citing its deep connection with street racing culture. While LA had appeared as the first city in Midnight Club 2, San Diego greatly expanded on it for its 2008 installment, giving players the freedom to explore a sprawling metropolis while earning rep and cash to unlock better vehicles. According to Dan Houser, who co-wrote the game's story, Rockstar wanted to redefine the idea of a completely immersive racing game experience, both offline and online. And after spending several weeks with the game, I think they achieved exactly that. You once again play an unnamed protagonist, in this game known as Player, now with an on-screen presence and witty dialogue, who moves from the East Coast to make a name for themselves in LA's street racing scene. Introduced by city champion Book, he offers Player one of 3 starter cars to get the protagonist's career underway. And like many of my other racing retrospectives, I picked a Nissan 240SX, this time a beaten up 98 model held together with junk parts. From there, Player gradually builds a reputation by competing across Hollywood before expanding into downtown, the beaches and hills, and in the complete edition that I played on my Xbox 360, South Central. Earning enough rep eventually unlocks the City Champ series against Book himself, who returns after being arrested, and blaming the protagonist for leaving him behind. Defeating Book allows Player to buy into Carol's garage business before the credits roll, while also unlocking every car and upgrade for the post-game. There were several moments where I was convinced that John Cena voiced the protagonist, because the delivery sounded almost identical, plus there were many references to pro wrestling in their dialogue, but a quick Google search proved otherwise.
Huh? I already beat you? You beat me driving my sister's car. That thing was messed up.
Yeah, something was messed up.
I got a Golf 32 now, I see.
Oh, really? Well, I hope it can drive for you.
Excuse me?
You're right, I'm sorry. You're the man, whatever.
I also found it interesting that there were characters called Trevor and Lester, names which would appear in a later Rockstar game set in an LA-inspired city. It's certainly no Red Dead Redemption 2 in terms of storytelling, but it doesn't need to be. The cutscenes have a fun popcorn movie quality to them, and while the dialogue is often cheesy, it's delivered with enough charm that I found it endearing. The cars and bikes themselves feel incredible to handle, with LA's default camera shake pushing me to the edge as I tried to control my vehicle at high speeds. I experienced a bit of motion sickness using the default camera, but switching to static largely solved the problem. Blasting through traffic in cockpit view was a surreal experience, and I found myself leaning closer to the screen as I threaded through traffic, taking last-second shortcuts and crossing the finish line. While the handling can be twitchy, it's fundamentally solid, and learning how each vehicle responded became one of the most rewarding parts of the experience for me. I went from flipping exotics and crashing motorbikes with alarming regularity to confidently navigating each event through practice alone. Many victories came simply from riding a mid-range bike well, with composure and practice ultimately proving more important than just outright performance. And in Midnight Club Los Angeles, there are plenty of events on offer. Everything from ordered races and circuits to freeway and red light events are scattered across the city, with some progressing the story. Looking at my mission log, it wasn't always clear which events were main missions and which ones were optional, as they were all grouped together. However, I soon learned that simply entering races either by flashing my headlights at rivals and, if the police weren't around, racing them to the starting line, steadily built my rep until the next story mission naturally unlocked. Early on, I'd quit or restart races whenever I wasn't in first place, until I realised that simply finishing an event still rewarded rep and cash. That simple discovery completely changed how I approached Midnight Club LA, encouraging me to keep driving instead of chasing perfection. Unlike earlier entries, events are grouped by difficulty rather than vehicle class, with tougher races rewarding greater amounts of rep and cash. Dub tournaments also award exclusive branded vehicles, providing another incentive to keep going. Watching the protagonist go from driving a beaten up 240SX to cruising around LA in a Lamborghini Murcielago that I earned through a dub tournament made me appreciate just how rewarding the game's progression is. And that progression extends into the customization system. Earning enough rep unlocks parts for your current vehicle class, as well as new cars and motorbikes, all purchased and stored in garages across the city. But it isn't just the exterior that can be upgraded. LA introduces interior customization, allowing you to swap out seats, gauges, and steering wheels among other things, even though the cockpit view limited how much of those changes I actually saw while behind the wheel. While not as extensive as Midnight Club 3, LA still offers plenty of ways to make each vehicle your own, complete with a wide selection of branded aftermarket parts to deck your ride out in. Special abilities make a return, with the addition of EMP, with all of them being able to be equipped to any vehicle, which is a positive. They're especially handy for harder events. Combining a special ability with nitrous can get you over the line first if timed correctly. There are also 2 ways to repair damaged vehicles, which once again feature the damage meters seen in previous Midnight Club games. Quick fixes can be activated before starting or restarting an event, temporarily holding your car together with the junk parts I mentioned earlier, even if it never quite feels back to its former self. Alternatively, full fixes can be performed at garages and gas stations, restoring your battered ride to pristine condition. And going back to the game's dialogue, I found it hilarious hearing someone trash my ride as the camera panned across my heavily customised ride, which you can then take across LA through a diverse range of districts, each with its own identity. Midnight Club LA includes dynamic environments and a full 24-hour day-night cycle, with traffic changing depending on the time of day. Many streets are packed with cars late into the evening with the city lights shining down on you, while early mornings are noticeably quieter as the sun beams over the sky, making them much easier to race through. Of course, this is still Midnight Club, so traffic can occasionally appear out of nowhere or suddenly pull into your path just as you're travelling at 160 miles an hour, turning what would look like an easy victory into a costly defeat. There were plenty of moments where a rival would collide with another vehicle, leaving it sideways across the road with almost no time to react, almost as if it was a set piece. And much like Midnight Club 3, pedestrians simply leap out of the way before yelling at you as you speed past. Police are as tough as ever, and will chase you mercilessly for even the slightest discretion within their radar, until you either pull over or are arrested. I loved speeding off during cutscenes where cops would approach your vehicle and then get left in the dust, and their radios scrambling when hit with an EMP was also a nice touch. In terms of performance, I experienced some slowdown when the game rendered downtown skyscrapers and particularly busy intersections, along with the occasional pop-in, but these moments were brief and never significantly affected my experience. More importantly though, Rockstar San Diego's interpretation of LA feels wonderfully varied, with districts connected by shortcuts and off-road paths that reward players willing to experiment with different routes. The story begins in Hollywood, an excellent starting point with wide streets and corners, as well as plenty of alleyways to gain an edge over rivals, even letting you smash through a working film studio. The hills feature winding roads, complete with blind corners and steep hairpin turns that constantly test your composure at high speeds. The beaches is home to the Santa Monica Pier and long stretches of sand that can rob your car of traction if you're not careful. Downtown opens things up, with long, wide avenues that encourage blistering speeds, though they also contain some of the densest traffic in the game. And in the complete edition, South Central introduces large open spaces and residential streets that provide multiple ways to reach the next checkpoint. Each district feels distinct, and the inclusion of iconic Los Angeles landmarks adds a welcome sense of authenticity. More importantly, it genuinely feels like you're driving through a city built for its residents, rather than one designed solely around the player, making every successful high-speed run feel that much more exhilarating. Midnight Club Los Angeles completes its tribute to one of the world's great car cities with a soundtrack that perfectly complements the experience. LA's original soundtrack is an eclectic playlist that reflects many of the artists popular in the city at the time. Unfortunately though, licensing issues have removed a number of tracks over the years, but I was thankful that my 360 copy preserved the original soundtrack in full, alongside the additional music included in the complete edition. Eclectic tracks like Replica by Hyper sit alongside electronica such as Idealistic by Digitalism, while the soundtrack also leans into rock, with songs like Mercury by Block Party and Wannabe in LA by Eagles of Death Metal. It's then rounded out with techno bangers like Sofa King by John Aquaviva, and rap from West Coast artists like Ice Cube with Gangsta Rap Made Me Do It, and other rappers like Nas with Hero. I smiled when two of my favourite tracks from Skate 3 came through the speakers for the first time. Put On by Young Jeezy and Kanye West, and Sleeper Hold by No Age. Hearing them outside of an EA title was genuinely surreal. Having the stereo on while listening to the roar of a muscle car, or the high-pitched whine of a motorbike as you weave through LA never got old, with every vehicle sounding appropriately powerful as you push it to its limits. And it wouldn't be Los Angeles without impatient drivers leaning on their horns as you narrowly avoid another collision. Together, the soundtrack and sound design add to the game's atmosphere, making Rockstar San Diego's interpretation of the city feel remarkably authentic, while still adding enough of its own personality to create one of the most immersive open-world racing games I've ever played. Midnight Club Los Angeles is more than just another open-world racer. It's a game that pushes you to improve alongside it, rewarding your patience and persistence at every turn. Everything I learned during the campaign as I increased my rep level and earned new vehicles contributed to a genuine sense of progression. The final reward wasn't just driving a faster car, but also being a much better driver than I was when I chose one of Book's old beat-ups to start my journey. Despite this feeling, LA has its flaws. The occasional traffic collision can feel unfair, and I experienced motion sickness with certain camera angles. And the story exists more as an excuse to keep racing than being something memorable. But none of this stopped me from wanting to do just one more event, which often turned into 5. Before playing this for the first time for this video, I mostly remembered Midnight Club Los Angeles as Rockstar's forgotten racing game, but spending time with it changed my perspective. It's one of the studio's most immersive and rewarding experiences, proving that the same trademark attention to detail that makes Rockstar's open world games so memorable translates just as well to racing. Whether you're revisiting it again after many years, or experiencing it for the first time like I did, Midnight Club Los Angeles is a fantastic reminder of why so many fans are still hoping for the series to one day return.